morning. My name's John with the Pine Tree. I'm here with Dean Linton.
How you doing, John?
Thank you for joining us. Now, this is one of those pieces where it's New Year's resolutions personally, but also business-wise, right?
Correct.
Now, you're a business consultant here in the area, but you've had big company, large market experience, but you're right here locally, right?
Absolutely, you bet.
Now, what do you do?
I help people become profitable, businesses become profitable and stay profitable, month after month, year after year. That's my goal.
So become profitable, stay profitable,
right,
and remain that way.
And remain that way, yeah.
Okay, and now I think through a lot of the different scenarios that you've seen, are some of those principles consistent no matter what the business size?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter the size of the business, the scope of the business, and really the type of the business. Manufacturing, retail, wholesale, distribution, it really doesn't matter. Business principles are all the same when you get down to the foundation of it, and that's what I help people do.
So you think a lot of times now people get maybe caught up in too much of the high-tech way of doing things or the .com stuff and get away from the basic fundamentals of what is their business?
Absolutely. Now, that doesn't mean I'm against that. I mean, It doesn't matter what the business model is. You can be working out of your home doing anything, any type of tech work.
Right.
It's still a business, and the business still has to run on certain principles. And I've been fortunate enough to be taught by some very, very good people over my years of experience. And when applied, they're literally foolproof.
A typical client comes to you. How long does it take? What's the process? How does it work?
It really depends on the size and scope of the business. Generally, I'll give an initial free consultation, and we'll talk about what their needs are, what their perceived needs are, whether they're looking for sales or operations, or they're just not hitting their monthly expenses every month, and we'll take it from there. So it can be as short as half a day. It can be as long. I just finished an 8-month consultation with a company up in Seattle. So that was a very big company, and they had a multitude of areas that needed to be addressed.
And so with kids and things like that at home, you'd rather not be on a plane every week if you will travel?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'd rather help our local community as much as I can, where needed. But I'm not averse to getting on a plane. I've spent a lot of time flying around, and sometimes those are fun jobs to do. Sometimes you'll get a $30–40 million company that's on the outside looks really well run, but on the inside they're just in complete turmoil. And it feels really good to be able to go in and kind of help turn them around and get them back on track.
I can speak for our business as well. I think one of the things you talked about is a lot of businesses, we don't have a plan in place that we should. We don't have the plans and processes in place, and that's one of the things that I can tell you have real enthusiasm for, is getting people to where the plan, this is how we get from point A to point B. Is that
absolutely?
One of the,
that's how I was for 30 years. I ran. That's one of the reasons I think I did as well as I did. I knew where I wanted to go. Sometimes people don't know where they want to go, but you're not going to get there without a plan. You're not going to drive across country without a roadmap. Now,
he's being a little bashful. The fact that he was telling us, one of the companies you worked for 17 years in major numbers every month.
Every month. I never lost money every 15 months.
17 years. That's not bad. That's not.
Well, it's more than me. I mean, obviously.
No, I understand.
It takes it takes a crew and a lot of hard work.
So I think so a lot of this is in essence coaching as well, right? I mean,
absolutely. It's a lot of owners have a great product, have a great product mix, but they're not really sure how to take it to the next step. You can't read a book and be a great business person. It takes experience. I didn't start off being a great business person. It took a lot of experience, and I laugh sometimes that there's almost no situation you can bring up that I don't have a story about, that I haven't gone through something similar. And those are things that you just can't know until you go through it. So what I'm trying to do for our local businesses is maybe help apply some of what I've done to us. I live here, I'm raising my family here, and I want our county to grow.
Dean, I can tell you have a passion for this, for passion for helping companies and things. Now, tell us a little bit about your story. It was fascinating because you went for years, and you guys made your numbers every quarter and stuff. And once a company has a plan in place and stuff, tell us a bit about your background. What it was, how you guys actually, once the pieces were in place, how you move the ball.
Sure. Well, I started off selling to a company, a large distributor, a nationwide distributor, and had sold a lot in my youth, in my 20s. And as the company grew, I kind of grew along with them, and I realized that they had a very structured way of doing business.
Right.
And it was new to me. It wasn't just month to month. It was they planned for the year, they planned 2 years out, and everything, there was a goal for almost everything you did. And I took that and became sales manager, and that was after becoming, and I hate to pat myself on the back, but there were about 1,000 employees in the country and around the country in the company, and I was voted the #1 salesman 1 year, which was much to my surprise. I just put my head down and did what I had to do, and which is what I was taught. I was very fortunate to be around a group of people that were old school, hardcore businessmen that really understood building a foundation for longevity.
So people have to really want this. They need the desire.
Absolutely, yeah. If your heart's not in it, I'm probably the wrong guy to call. I do bring a certain amount of enthusiasm with me, and I've seen firsthand what can happen when you put a plan together. We used to say, plan your work and work your plan. I did go 17 years without losing money in any one month, which I think in the company is still a record. And that just that was from good planning and help and learning how to run a business. And
17 years.
17 years, yeah.
There's a few business cycles in that 17-year period.
Yeah, quite a few. But if you're really paying attention to your business, if you're really looking at the X's and O's and paying attention to your employees and the market, and there's no reason anyone can't do that outside of a major catastrophe.
Right, right. So that gave you the background. I mean, because I can tell you have a passion for wanting to help people with this, and I
Absolutely.
also think, I also get a feeling that you can help people with this. And
yeah.
This is and I think that you did. That's neat. I mean,
well, what happened was I'd worked for this major corporation and had worked my way up pretty high. Yeah. And didn't enjoy working for the major corporation. I was actually really good at what I did, but I didn't like the culture. Right. And when we came, I decided to step away, and I was going to sell real estate with a friend of mine who opened up a real estate agent. I was just going to step away from it all and take a deep breath. And I was about 2 weeks out of leaving the corporation and started receiving phone calls from customers asking if I would come help them set, look at their business and help set them up. And so that's how this all started. And I found I really enjoyed it. They were eager to learn. Every business was different, and I found it really fun and energizing. And it's really fun to help people. And instead of making tens of millions of dollars for a big corporation, I was helping smaller companies succeed and families succeed, and that was really fulfilling.
Now I'm guessing that there's some time points in a businesses like around our area here. We have a lot of multi-generational businesses. We have, are your services a good time to look at, planning for transition, planning for, it's like, okay, 10 years, Junior's going to be taking over this, or Junior doesn't want to, so we need to sell this. Right, so are those some points and times that they can use your services as well? Absolutely. It's not just about planning for the next year. It's about running efficiently, but having that if Junior doesn't want the business, what's the next step? Right. And or if Junior inherits it and all of a sudden there's a loss. I've had owners come to me and say, "Would you work a month? We want to go to Europe for a month, and we need someone we can trust to run our business while we're gone." And that's certainly a possibility. So yeah, it's always a good time to have somebody else look. Right. And quite honestly, it's not like everybody needs my services, but I've yet to find one that I haven't sat down with that something wasn't like, oh wow, now that's really cool, that's really big, or this helps a lot. Right. Again, my fee structure is going to be to where it's almost a guarantee. I'm not going to take somebody's money if I can't help it. That's not what I'm in this for. So I guess in essence, unless you think you can return more than your fees, there's really there's really no point in it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. Well, thank you. I guess free consultation. You want to make sure that it's a fit on both sides, right? Correct. And I think the neat thing is that's right here in Mountain Ranch. So not only you can help businesses here locally in the Tri-County area and stuff, is if I will still travel. You'll still travel. If somebody has something in LA or Seattle. You had a consultant in Seattle recently. I had an 8-month consultation, getting the company completely turned around, which
really made me want to get something going here locally a lot more. 8 months on a plane every week is a lot. So yes, I definitely will travel, and you can't be too small and you can't be too big. So it's always great having another set of eyes up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, John.